This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody, and welcome back to another Only Friends podcast with my Only Friends, and we got an exciting show for you today. We got my number 2 in the building, Matt Berkey.
Wow, I'm surprised you didn't go to Andre for that one. I appreciate the delegation to still being number 2 with the boss in the building.
I mean, I would never do that to my number 2. You're my sidekick, bro. I'm not going to let the fucking Malaysian ankle biter just come in here and steal number 2 when he wants to come in once a month. You know?
It makes perfect sense.
It's
absurd. I'm the
Mm-hmm.
sidekick. He's the side piece. I understand how the
How did I
pecking order-
become the side piece?
Wow.
Also, what the fuck? Like, I finally get my lower third and Big Dick Benji doesn't get his?
Well,
I'll take responsibility for that one.
Wait,
to be fair, the lower third would both be the size of Benji and of his dick.
Yeah. Does he have a
that's
Twitter
genius.
handle? I think he needs a Twitter handle that is Big Dick Benji.
I also think
BDB.
that's true.
that would be awesome.
If you want to give him a social media platform, then he can have his lower third.
Yeah.
Have we talked about Big Dick Benji on podcast?
Yeah, he's BDB.
I know, but have we talked about like all the stories about how he would be dragging?
No.
Okay, yeah. He used to drag heat. Like, we would go out. So he was neutered actually at 10.
10?
10.
So
Yeah.
he took his balls away at 10.
Correct.
That seems unnecessary at that point. He's not trying to fuck.
Well, what was happening is his anal glands was swelling a lot, and they're like, okay, well, you neuter him now, it'll help so that he can go bathroom easier.
Right.
He's having stomach issues. But before the operation, we would go for a walk, and you would see sometimes, just sometimes, after he was done peeing, just a line trail because he's dragging the whole time.
So he's actually Benji the Dragon.
He's like a snail, a little snail trail.
Yeah, a little snail trail. So yeah, he takes after his papa.
That's what you do?
That's adorably.
So you're Andre the Dragon.
Yes.
Real adorable lie you got there.
All right, Conrad, can you take control of this fucking podcast? You're the host.
I was enjoying Big Dick Benji.
Also, I'm number 1, right?
The
No.
number 1 side piece.
No. You're number,
I'm who he comes home tonight.
You're my number 2
tonight.
side piece.
Wow, who's won?
My wifey. You know what I mean?
Landon?
No.
Corey?
Corey?
No.
Oh yeah, Corey. My bad. Yeah, that's true.
Don't drag me into this. Don't dragging me into this.
Oh, you're right. I forgot. You're my little buddy.
Don't dragging me into this. I just want to take your money today.
No, we're in good shape. We have the host, the number 2, the side piece. You're my little buddy. And we
I
got
ain't
the
shit.
tortoise.
I ain't
The
shit about
tortoise is
shit.
just the
I'm just here, just
the
chilling. You
I
know,
ain't shit about shit.
taking it easy, taking it nice and slow.
slowly moving along.
Yeah.
So speaking of BDE energy, I imagine
That's not how BDE energy works. It's just BDE. The E is energy.
Yeah, he's
Thanks,
right.
Landon.
Redundant.
Thanks, Landon.
Redundancy.
That's going to do a lot for this segue right now. You know, it's going to transition really
Yeah.
smoothly now that you've pointed that
As
out.
the little buddy, I have to correct you, you know?
Okay, well, go ahead. Transfer.
No, you're the one. Good job.
I don't know. Move into the next segment.
I don't know what the next segment is.
Perfect. Good job. Way to ruin the show, Landon. Way to ruin the fucking show.
Keep doing it.
His Troy Polamalu blanket makes up for it.
Does it?
Barely.
It's making up for not showing my inner thigh.
Oh, I do like your blanket.
Very nice.
I love those type of blankets.
It's
Do you
not my
love the
blanket.
blanket, or do you love the fact that he's not showing his balls on camera anymore?
I
Mm.
never really cared
I
about
bet
it.
it would get a lot of engagement.
Why? You think men's balls really drive the engagement home?
Yeah,
I put it-
nudity in general.
I
gets
put a
lot of
titty in the
engagement.
tweet, and we only have 100 people who showed up for the start.
Dang.
What is different?
What is different? Well, I'll tell you what's different. Apparently, live streams have moved into the realm of softcore porn. And yesterday on Hustler Live, honestly, I think the funniest part about this is that anybody, for even one heartbeat of a second, thought that this was legit. But Sashimi wore a plastic bodysuit.
For what it's worth.
I mean, yeah, in the way that like sex dolls look real, I guess. You can see at the neck. I mean,
looking
it's
away
subtle,
from the
but like
screen
you can
right
see at the
now. You
neckline
guys-
that there's a
Yeah.
bit of a gap there.
It's pretty good though.
But
Sashimi.
her titties were just out. Just
Who's
on
one
display.
was?
Well, the other one wasn't super covered.
It was half out.
I mean, she's wearing sheer lingerie.
Yeah.
There were titties on display, and it broke the internet. I quote tweeted like a 25-second video that you just saw. It had 100 views on it when I quote tweeted. Now it has 97 quote tweets and like 175,000 views. This went absolutely rampant yesterday.
Well, of course.
Through poker Twitter.
This is your power.
No, not me. I mean, I got the ball rolling for sure, but 97 other people also decided to get the ball rolling, so to speak.
You were the start of the snowball.
I was the spark to this flame, but I think something tells me that video would have been viewed regardless.
Right, but you were the first one on the ball. That's important. Engagement. Your tweet did fucking numbers.
Yeah, 250,000 in impressions in like 10 hours.
We've had this conversation. We think that if something hits around 100K on poker Twitter, that's viral.
It was 100K in the first hour.
Right. That's
which
viral
is
on poker Twitter.
Madness. But what do we think about this? What, are we just rocking out with our cock out nowadays?
No, I got censored, but in all honesty, I should be, because I shouldn't have my inner thighs on the stream. I get it. Be professional. But it's very clearly like an attempt at a humorous joke, and some people find it funny, some people don't. I personally thought it was pretty funny, but then again, like, that's just my objective standpoint. And
yeah, I think it was funny. I think it's also, this is what like poker is reduced to. Like, this is what really gets the engagement, what gets people interested in poker is,
WWE used to do this stuff a lot.
Yeah, I know. It's just,
they would do like strip matches between women. They would do.
Do we want poker to be WWE though?
Yeah, I don't care for this shit at all. Like,
yeah,
I don't like it.
I mean, I don't care. I think
fuck?
it was. I agree with you. I think it was funny. I don't see anything wrong with it. I just wish there was other things that also got this kind of engagement in the poker world.
Well,
which is, I mean, that's not the world we live in. I understand that. So
yeah, I mean, whether or not we should sexualize poker is a different conversation, I think. Whether or not we want it to be more like the WWE, I think is a no-brainer. Like, sure, maybe we don't want the social undertones of the WWE. Maybe we want
the popularity.
Maybe we want to do it better, but like certainly the product they're putting out is a million times more popular than poker could ever imagine. What's your take, Andre? Before I give my
this is the age-old like philosophical question.
You're in production. How would you have handled this?
I don't know. I really don't. Right? Like, your interests are being popular and trying to get out there and getting your brand out there. Do we like the state of reality TV and news right now? And that's what we all have to ask ourselves collectively. I think it's really obvious that we all hate the news. What it's become, how sensationalized it is. We all also shit on reality TV, yet all of us watch
love reality TV.
All of us watch it, and it's for good reason. It's just for some reason we all draw to it.
Right.
And I know, a lot of people come down on like the media and television networks and stuff like that, but it's a balance, right? We can't always blame the organizations. At some point we have to balance it a little bit of regulating ourselves. And I also don't want to go the complete other way where it's only ourselves that we have to blame. It's not just the individual, but yeah, this is the age-old question. Do we just keep making stuff that we know everybody's going to want to watch, but it's a shit show?
Yeah, it's interesting because people tend to love drama that does not involve themselves, right? And this situation now leads to oh my God, she did this. What do we think? Yeah. So now it gets people to talk about it. It gets the engagement rolling. And now it's a question of, does the production agency, be it Hustler, want to take on the responsibility there? Yeah. And from their statement, they said that they trying to grow the game and grow popularity. So they're okay with the judgment calls that happen. Do we know if she talked about doing this prior?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
And does it matter?
I don't think it really matters.
Okay.
To be honest. But I mean, like, look at us. We just talked about big dick energy and Benji's dick. You know, for
Dragon.
Well, there's a difference between talking about it and showing it.
We didn't show his.
Go ahead, hold that puppy up.
That's exploitation of Benji. Don't do that to the dragon.
Don't do that to him. We didn't get his approval on that.
I think that I think there are a few things at play. First of all, I think that the reaction over the aggregate to this is hilarious to me. And I don't mean to be reductive when it comes to like social issues and specifically gendered issues, but I think the fact that this is even a gendered issue at all is so beyond hilarious. If a guy came out with a prosthetic dick and laid it on the table, that man would be arrested without fucking question. Hilarious, absolutely. Somebody doing it like for a prank channel on YouTube to get 1 million clicks, 100% going to work. Are they going to get to play a 6-hour session like that? No fucking chance. I don't even think it would. God damn it.
So it's so funny that you have to laugh.
I don't even think it would fly if they had like their pants stuffed and like continually kept standing up or whatever, and you could see like the outline of their dick. I don't even think that would fly.
Imagine if they even had a prosthetic and they were like shirtless or something. And then it was just coming up into their
anything that sexualizes people get arrested for this, man. Like, I get it, there's a double standard here, and that I would be remiss not to acknowledge it, but like men are positioned as sexual offenders like when it comes to aggressive display of unwanted nudity, right? Whether you're talking about like unwanted dick pics being sent or
flashing or something.
Flashing or inappropriateness, like the line is clearly skewed.
I think it's just because it's a numbers game, right? There's way more men doing this than women.
Correct. Well, it's not like, even just a numbers game, but there's actual there's more of a physical threat there.
That's right. Yeah, of course.
Right. So like whether even if it was evenly distributed,
men are more threatening and they threaten more. Correct.
Yeah. So like even if it were evenly distributed, we're 50-50. And in this particular instance, it's like, well, okay, that's all well and good, but that aside, it's like, I get the bit, it's funny, but the polarizing reactions, specifically even from like I guess I want to say like the pro woman side, it's impossible to pick the right side. Right? Because on one hand, it's like, well, this is sexually liberating and women shouldn't be scrutinized for this. If she wants to lean into her sexuality and leverage that in whatever capacity she sees fit, then she should be allowed to do so. It's like, I agree with that. And then on the other side, it's like, this is tacky, tasteless, and classless. And it's like, I agree with that too.
Yeah.
Right? And they're butting heads against one another. And rightfully so, because they're two very different messages. One is judging this whole process, and the other one is like completely judgment free, but both are right? And it's just like, at the end of the day, we still have to adhere to some sort of societal norms that we've all agreed upon. And like, this is lewd in general, right? Like, it doesn't matter if it's male or female. It doesn't matter whether it's gendered or not. Like, in a place where nudity is not accepted, even when it's quote unquote fake nudity, this qualifies as lewd. Like, if that were actually her titty, she would be under arrest. So it's just like, where
would she be under arrest?
Yeah, indecent exposure. Like, I mean, would she get the book thrown at her? No, but like, she would be removed. You can't just, outside of breastfeeding, it's not like you can just pop it out anywhere you like. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I have no idea.
For breastfeeding in places.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I think like the bit is funny. I think the whole thing is hilarious. I just think that like, along the lines of being tacky and tasteless, this is certainly up there. And there was obviously a like, just put do it and just put like whatchamacallit? Tassels, yeah, anything like anything to like censor it, right? It's just going too far to the extreme. That's my opinion. But
so what's the ramifications of this? Like, how do we think things?
There are none. Right. I mean, there's no. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if YouTube removes the video. Although maybe they've maybe they've lightened up on the nudity. I know that game show that we were talking about seems to be searchable.
Mm-hmm. So I think it is, but in certain parts of like you have to have like a premium subscription, but to see it maybe. So I don't know how that would work exactly.
Well,
right.
Yeah, and I guess where I was going with what's ramifications, I meant from a community standpoint. And I think that when something like this happens and Sashimi voluntarily kind of takes this action, she's just going to have to deal with the support or lack thereof when it comes to personal opinions.
Well, look, like I love Sashimi. I love that she's, edgy and like pushing these boundaries and like leaning into all this stuff. I'm not offended by this, right? I'm just saying we should all be operating under the same rules, and I don't think it's a great look for Hustler Live. But again, like this is the product that they want to build, and they want to lean into this type of stuff. So it's up to us to decide, like, is this the content we want to consume or not?
And is the feedback that they've gotten the answer being yes?
Well, this is the thing. It's like, who are you going to listen to?
When it comes to
are you
the
going to listen to a
majority?
bunch of horny dudes that make up 95% of your audience, or are you going to listen to the 5% of people that are being represented, so to speak, by Sashimi, right? If you're willing to ignore the vocal minority, which is largely going to be women, then we're just going to see this over and over again.
Do you think that's an issue?
I always think it's an issue to not listen to the disenfranchised, of course, but I also think that it's a Sashimi choice, and again, like I think that there's probably just a middle ground here where she can do something. Like if this were Robbie J. Lude and she wasn't wearing she wasn't wearing fake boobs, but instead she was just wearing like a scandalous outfit, it's whatever, like we've been seeing that on TV forever. And again, you're still going to have that division where it's like some women are going to see that as tacky and tasteless, and other women are going to see it as empowering. And I think like as men, it's up to us to kind of like amplify the not for us to judge sort of platform, right? Like I don't have a stance either way, really. Like I might lean slightly left or right, but it's not important for me to be vocal about. This isn't my issue.
Right. That makes sense.
Like, yeah, I think the best thing we can do is just like amplify and support whenever this stuff comes up. But really what we're doing today is memeing it, and it's a fucking joke. And like, I also think that that's just fine. Like if we can't have fun and poke fun at things that are like clearly hilarious, both for the absurdity of it all, the ridiculousness, and maybe even the tactlessness and the lack of class being demonstrated, then like, what are we even doing? Like, right? Like this is what we do as societies. This is how we figure out what is acceptable and not, is like what, it comes with some level of shame or embarrassment.
You push some boundaries and see kind of what happens. And what you're saying is there was a better way to do it that didn't ruffle as many feathers potentially.
Well, I don't even know about ruffle feathers. Will always be ruffled.
Right.
I'm just saying there's a better way to do it in a sense of not like pushing boundaries of is this even
I think it's
against guidelines?
I think it's a mistake to like blow this out of proportion.
Right.
Try to get Sashimi canceled or something like that. Right. It was clearly a joke. Some people are going to like it, some people are going to hate it.
But like, where is the boundary, right? Because that suit comes with like fully intactness, right? So if she was like pantless and stood up, you just see like,
how are you so familiarized with these?
I instantly Googled it.
I think the answer is
you should have showed up with one today.
That would have been great.
I think the answer is just breaking the law or not, right? Because it's
or
indecent exposure.
terms of service for YouTube.
Again, we went back to if a guy had a prosthetic,
Right, that's an issue.
Yeah. And so there is a clear asymmetry here with what we can do, right? And I think it would be, I don't know if the word is inappropriate or whatever, but there would be some like glaring problems if she just stood up and she was just full nude in prosthetics, right? People would freak out, reasonably so.
But she didn't do that, right? She didn't do that.
I think
we're halfway there.
This thought experiment is, where is the line? Right. I think
probably at the belly button.
Well, Burke brought up a really good point, right? Like there are some shirts that women wear that are completely see-through.
Yeah, of course. Right.
See-through with like a camera, but not with our eyes.
Really?
Yeah. This happens all the time with celebrities.
Oh yeah, right. They're just wearing, and then someone takes a picture, the flash hits, and then yes, of course. Yeah.
So what if she was just wearing that? Right? Where is the line where she is fully covered, but on camera she is fully nude?
Yeah, well, I would think that would not be her fault unless she like.
Also, I just think like that's not for us to judge. I think that's up to YouTube. Tough. I think that's up to whatever.
But this is what I'm talking about, where the line is so gray. And there is no clear, I mean, just to reverberate what you're saying, there's no clear, you should be on one side or the other, because it's just such a weird spot, and reasonably so, you're going to ruffle feathers, etc.
Yeah, I think that's the ultimate takeaway is like, if anybody's trying to, disown Sashimi over this or like criticize her or whatever, like, that's not where any ire should be spread here. Yes. Like if you want to hold somebody accountable, hold Hustler accountable and say like this is going too far. Like Nadia, I think is making a strong case for the side of being a little bit more conservative, where it's like we're trying to bring women into poker and then immediately we just objectify ourselves and become a sexual joke. It's like, well, yeah, but there's humor there because you're kind of leaning into the double standard that does exist and the already existence of women being objectified, right? So you're kind of like taking it back, so to speak. So it's like, I don't think we're in any place to judge. I don't think it's, and when I say we, I mean like collectively men, but also even the side of like, it's fine to be this liberal or you should be more conservative. Like, it's just gray. I think the people making decisions here are the people putting on the production. That's why I asked you specifically, what do you do in this spot, right? Because it's your show and it's reflective of your show. It doesn't really matter how it reflects on Sashimi. She's already made her choice.
Yeah, I think it kind of. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, well, what I was going to say is I think it's really difficult for women if Nadia's position even. Like every single woman that rises to any prominence in poker, all of a sudden they are a loudspeaker for women inside of poker.
Right.
That's a really rough situation to be in. All of a sudden now, literally any girl that wants to be good at the game, they win a tournament and now they're a loudspeaker for every single women's cause. That's not fair.
You're just thrown into a role that you didn't sign up for.
Exactly. That's really, really difficult. And maybe, you can say, well, it doesn't matter. That's just the state of poker. That's where we're at. But I think that's, again, this is the gray area that we have to deal with and we have to consider with, when we're coming down on something like this hard.
I would say that the actions of one person within a sub group of the community doesn't reflect on all in the community, but optically it doesn't like,
well, it does because
that way.
It does because optically it's getting massively amplified. This is the most viral thing happening in poker right now.
Right. I'm saying that it does optically look like one speaks for all.
Sure.
But in reality, that's not the case. That's not how
it's
optics
also
work.
continually reinforced that this is the way to get ahead, right? We've seen it time and time again. If you
swaps.
If you just like pulled a bunch of people who casually watch like streams or televised poker or whatever and ask them who their 5 favorite women poker players are, it's generally going to be the ones that lean into their sexuality, right? And that's just because that's what guys are attracted to.
Yeah, that's why I wonder what how people outside the community perceive this.
I think you'll see a hard divide at the age line.
Right, I think so too. Because
40 plus is going to be like that's absolutely tacky.
Right. I guess
classes.
Like, at the end of the day, we want to grow the community, right? So we want to bring outsiders in, and so it's just, I guess it's how what we do is perceived outside of the community that maybe is something you should focus on.
So logically, if you're trying to grow the community, you could see this as a net positive.
Yeah, for sure.
Not necessarily.
Well,
think about all the women who are watching this saying, I'm not willing to do that.
There's also net negatives.
Exactly.
But there's different takes as to what this action caused.
Yeah, I think it's probably just a neutral one that gives us a lot of buzz because it gives poker exposure.
And why is that neutral?
Because I think that ultimately it has enough downside for people who are looking at Sashimi saying like, I don't want to be in that role. I don't want to be a clown in order to get some sort of clout in this community.
Right.
I think that that's a pretty large subset of people who are interested in poker. Moving off of that though into some more substance things. We're going to be joining Joey tonight for his meetup game. It's for Legion invites only, apparently. That's going to be 7 p.m. at the Wynn, I believe. It's cocktail hour. 8 o'clock starts the games. I'm not sure what the whole process is. I know it is technically like invite only, but I'm sure, like, you know, if you're around the Wynn poker room splashing around, there will be overflow. I'll be there for a couple of hours. I have an early day tomorrow, heading to Live at the Bike to play a big game. But I know Landon will probably be out till the wee hours of the morning.
Can I just
jamming
say
it up
real quick? You know, he took the Legion from Run It Up.
Did he really? Oh, he did.
It's the Run It Up Legion.
It is the Run It Up Legion. Wow.
It might be a statute of limitation thing.
Man, mind blown. I don't even know if he was conscious of it, to be honest.
Yeah, it might not be.
It's such a dope name. We really need something. Yeah. I love it. I loved it when it was Jason. I love it with a totally different meaning, by the way, with Joey.
Yes, definitely.
Than with Jason.
Definitely so.
The Dirty Basement Kids. Man, I saw Jason yesterday for like 3 seconds. I wish we could have gotten him on, but he was busy moving shit. Sometime in the future, I hope. I did mention that I'll be playing Live at the Bike tomorrow. We're playing 200, 400, 200K minimum buy-in.
Whoa,
it's going to be
a
very big one.
That's a nice one.
It's the daddy we're playing against.
You selling any action for that?
Yeah, you got a little taste if you want it.
Oh. Can I buy 0.0001%?
It's going to be a pro heavy lineup. It's Eric Person's I believe the owner of Poker Bros is playing, and then a lot of the regulars that you're used to seeing. Myself, Andy Stacks, Yo Viral, and then a couple other LA regs. So I think we're going to be 6 or 7 handed. Person's put out a shit talk video of some sort. He cut a little promo for it. We're going to take a quick look at that.
Hey guys, I'm heading down to Live at the Bike this Wednesday and Thursday to play with Berkey, Yo Viral, and Andy Stacks. It's a 2-400 game with a 200,000 min buy. And more importantly, I'm going to be looking to make sure these nits don't VPIP under 35%. Because we all know, you can't play a third of the hands, you got no room at the table with me. Looking forward to crushing this week, guys. Hope you tune in and watch.
Just to be clear,
I think you'll hit that mark.
Bro, it's a joke. All right, first of all, like this whole VPIP number bullshit is like the worst way to gauge whether or not somebody's action.
Correct.
It's literally not low. We should be looking at raise first in numbers, and we should be paying attention to the quality of hands that these people are willing to play. Literally playing a third of the hands in 6 max means that you're playing your button and your big blind. That's not fucking hard. If you're not playing your button and your big blind, you should not be in the game to begin with.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure the number for like overall VPIP in no ante games for 6 max cash is already like 25, 26.
Right.
So once you add the ante
and likely a straddle, we're gonna easily. I mean, Yo Viral is the biggest nit on the fucking planet, and he's gonna break 30%, no problem.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like it's also a 5-hour distribution.
Yeah.
So it's like you're just gonna get really bad hands sometimes. There's gonna be one person who runs well below EV as far as starting hand distributions go, and they're gonna play 26%.
Also, can we talk about that edit just a little bit?
Go ahead.
It kills me a little.
Well, I mean, it wasn't his edit. It's Live at the Bikes, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, you know, you got the rock and roll going, and you know,
it's probably gonna get us demonetized. Go ahead.
And then on top of it, it's just like he's talking. This is how I would shit talk. You're talking as if you're on Ambien. It's completely like monotone.
Well, I don't think he meant the shit talk, but it's obviously he's cutting a promo, and like if you're gonna cut a promo, don't sit the fence, you know, don't go like, oh, these nits, but we're gonna have a good time. Like lean in and say that these guys all fucking stink, or go the other route and be the baby face, or just be like, guys, I'm just so happy to be here. You know, like you're either Jason Kuhn or you are me talking to Helmuth.
Yes. That's right.
I have to make mine today.
I was going to say, are you making one?
Yeah, which one am I going to do? Am I going to do baby?
We know which one you're going to do.
I'm going to be babyface. Yeah, definitely going to be babyface.
You should babyface.
Guys, I'm just so happy to be here. I'm going to play all the hands that I can possibly play whenever I'm dealt in.
I want you to go like full Japanese ceremony type of babyface with this. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, this is out of my...
Japanese are just like, or Koreans or anything like that when they're competing, like, oh, I'm just thankful to be here.
Oh, the Japanese culture is incredible. Did you see what they were doing during the World Cup?
No.
They were cleaning the stadium after themselves. And like they were getting interviewed afterwards. It was the most remarkable thing in the world. They were just like, this is what we do. Like we just like take a lot of pride in the way we leave things. It's just like, God, you are beautiful people.
They're incredible. In the judo realm, though, they're known as like some of the most like nepotist. I don't know what the word is.
Sure, I understand what you're saying.
Like assholes. Like super traditionalists.
Yeah.
We do like
Keep it within the family.
Oh, it's just terrible. It's just terrible. By the way, I forgot to. I'll send Guapo.
Oh, you're gold.
I was gone. Yeah,
That's
you guys
okay.
didn't even ask me about it.
We'll
Yeah,
get
I mean, you win these things like every other week. It's
come
like
on.
it's
you
getting
also
old
come
at
to the
this point.
podcast like once a month.
like,
You know.
Oh no, Andre's another world champion again.
Andre won gold in something or other. We'll get that up there later. But in the meantime, we have a very important guest joining us today. Those of you who have been around for the length of the poker boom the way I have pre-Black Friday days, you'll know him as the former poker manager at Stars. When you made major final tables, you immediately got a message from Lee Jones congratulating you, letting you know that you were about to play for X amount of dollars. He facilitated the chops. He did all the dirty work. Since then, he's held many other positions. Most recently, he's with poker.org, and he has some, well, I'm told he has all the info when it comes to the runner. So we're going to shake him down. We're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to find out who the runner is, where he's at, and we're going to get that platinum pass divvied out to one of you today. I'm making promises I can't keep. But without further ado, Lee Jones, everybody.
Hey.
Good morning, you guys.
Welcome, sir. Sorry to keep you waiting for so long, but you know Andre's over here
Oh,
bragging
good.
about
I
his.
was enjoying the Nipplegate discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got to get your take on it, Lee.
You know what my take is, so I just
You are over 40, so
I am over 40, over 50, and over 60. So just right down into the corner.
Oh yeah, he wants her in a turtleneck.
too much skin.
No,
I getcha.
So catch us up a little bit. Actually, you know what? Let's not do that. I don't want to assume that everybody just knows who you are. Why don't you walk us through your introduction to poker, how you got started in the industry as a whole, and more specifically, what your role was with PokerStars during the boom?
Oh my goodness. So I was working in Silicon Valley. I had done literally 25 years as a software engineer in Silicon Valley, various gigs there, including Silicon Graphics and IBM. But I had written this silly book called Winning Low Limit Hold'em in 1994. And then what happened is that, of course, as you all know, Chris Moneymaker won the 2003 World Series of Poker. He had won his seat on PokerStars, and PokerStars suddenly blew up. There's this really famous scene, and I think it's when he busts Ivy on that 4-outer.
Mm-hmm. The nines versus ace queen for people who don't
exactly,
remember.
Yeah, for all the chips. And he jumps into the arms of Dan Goldman, who was the marketing manager for PokerStars at the time. And they've got this bear hug, right? And they're both wearing PokerStars bomber jackets, and they're dancing around, and the PokerStars logo is just like sitting there spinning on ESPN. And the rest of the story is history. PokerStars exploded, and Isai Scheinberg for the Poker Hall of Fame forever, was desperate for people, and he wanted business people who knew poker rather than poker players, because he felt that poker players saw a job as what you have between bankrolls. And he tracked me down because of my book, and he called me up and he says, "So, Lee, are you interested in working for PokerStars?" And I'm standing in the parking lot of my startup in Santa Clara, California, standing under a tree. I could take you to that exact tree, going, what the hell is going on here? But ultimately, I figured, I'm going to go work in the poker industry. That was 2003. And, I went to work for Isai, and the rest is history. And I was at PokerStars for 15 years with a short interlude at Card Runners and Cake Poker.
What was your role at PokerStars? If I didn't do a good enough job explaining it.
No. I mean, that was like my technical job was poker room manager. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people thought that I had, complete autonomy and control over poker operations at PokerStars. I certainly had input into a lot of the big decisions, but let's be very clear that during the heyday of PokerStars, Isai Scheinberg made all of the biggest decisions. I mean, we all put our input in, and then Isai told us the right answer. And the running joke around the office was that if Isai was wrong, we would go off into a corner and sit down and figure out how it was that he was still right and we were wrong about thinking he was wrong.
Exactly.
How much input did you have on the like the tournament, the structures and like the tournament schedules that were made?
Very, very minor input, mostly because I am not and never was really a tournament guy.
Mm-hmm.
And early on, we had some very good people that were really into tournaments. There's a guy named Mike Jones, who, unrelated to me, Mike was one of the very early employees at PokerStars, and he got in there and was one of the ones who sort of founded the whole organization that built up all the structures and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So fast forwarding now to present day, do I understand correctly that you have a role with poker.org?
I am consulting to poker.org. I'm not an employee per se, but I used to work for a guy named Eric Holreiser, and I know that you know him.
Yep.
I worked for Eric at PokerStars, and when he took over Poker.org, we got in touch, and I said, I'd love to do something. He said, well, you do this and this and this and this and this. I said, no, that sounds like a job. No, I don't want any more of those jobs. So I'm consulting. I'm doing some writing for them, and I'm various odd gigs.
Yeah. The writing, I guess, is what I noticed the most, obviously. But then, we've had our own back and forths. Where did this runner idea come from?
Man, I wish I could take credit for it. The guy who came up with it is our editor-in-chief, Brad Willis. And I don't know if you know Brad's background.
Yeah, I know Brad.
Well, so Brad is one of the OGs in the poker industry. He was probably the first poker blogger. We hired him into PokerStars in 2005, and he's been a beast in the industry ever since. And there was a guy for Wired magazine who basically tried to disappear into the United States some years ago. And they put a $5,000 bounty on his head to see if anybody could find him.
Interesting.
And Brad was fascinated with that whole thing. And he actually pitched the idea to PokerStars 4 years ago, and it didn't happen. And then once he took over poker.org, he brought it back and pitched it to PokerStars. And this time PokerStars bought it. And I think it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And the reason that I think it's amazing, Matt, is because it is, to use your word, it's sharp.
Yeah.
Right? It celebrates all the smarts and cleverness and creativity that make good poker players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really does lean into what we enjoy the most. And I was talking to somebody today, and they're like, when did poker.org start sponsoring the show? And I was like, well, they're not. This is just impossible to ignore. Like, it's a fun sweat. It's a fascinating contest that whether we had a relationship with them or not, like, we would 100% cover this because it really is that creative, and it does lean that much into the things that we enjoy. I kind of like almost relate it to like those syndicated crime dramas like CSI that just kind of lock you in with a template. Right? Like, every episode is a carbon copy of the last. There's very little plot. There's very little that differs. It's always just like comparable crime that happens episode over episode. And how did they do it? Who done it? Kind of plot unfolds. And you're locked in as a viewer because you want to solve the puzzle with them. Right? And that's kind of where I am. It's like, I have no interest in even catching the runner. I just like feeling like I'm paying close enough attention that I might be able to pick up on clues, lead somebody in the right direction, start to drop some hints here and there if I think I'm smart, or basically send Conrad out in a caravan.
I mean, I'm literally looking at flights right now because I think I know where he is.
Man.
So I will tell you guys that when this thing first started, and I don't know what you thought about it, if you even thought about it, but of course I was in on the ground floor, so I had these whole ideas.
Yeah.
And one of the first pieces I wrote was this Man from U.N.C.L.E. fan fiction, if you will. about how the runner should behave, right?
Yeah.
I've been astonished at both sides of how loosey-goosey, eating a sandwich, right? About the whole thing they are. Like the runner gave away a bunch of stuff that I didn't feel was necessary early on.
Yeah.
And this whole idea of people who are just like, oh yeah, I think they're, in Cleveland. So like, it's fun to say that, but realistically, what are you doing it for? You're doing it for ego and strokes.
Well, 100%. We just want to be right. We
exactly, right?
None of us are flying to Cleveland to catch this guy.
Right. But the point is that like, I really thought that there would be because when I was talking to Brad about it, I was like, Brad, what is going to be the content here? Because both sides are going to be absolutely dark. So they don't give anything away to either competing hunters or to the other side.
Oh,
I was completely wrong.
Yeah, you were way too dismissive of the variety of the internet.
Yeah, there's too many egos involved in this.
We want to tweet. Yeah, we just want to tweet that gets 1,000 likes more than we actually want to traverse the Midwest.
$30,000 package.
We just want to ratio somebody and tell them that they're wrong and they're not.
100%.
Yeah, there's just a security in being incorrect without actually doing any hard work.
Right, because the thing is, you could just be right. Like, you could know where he's going to be, and you could have even a fair, or she, whatever, you could even have a fair assumption of who you think it is, and still just miss them, right? So it's just like, this effort seems like way too much. I'd rather be a part of the content that's driving him or her to be caught.
It's like, I'd rather just have the engagement on Twitter, and then if someone finds him, God bless. If it falls into my hands, God bless. But I'm not traveling to Kansas to go find this guy.
Right.
That was the part that I completely misjudged because I'm an old fart, and it never occurred to me that people would think of likes as being more important than a $30,000 package in a AAA.
Well, I don't even know that they do. I just know that it's nice to be able to point back to something retroactively and say, like, I got it right. Especially when you have no intentions of chasing him. And then the other problem is, like, it's difficult to coordinate bounty hunters because it's like the ultimate prisoner's dilemma, where the EV isn't cooperating, but you can't trust anybody. Yeah. So the actual equilibrium settles on selling people out. So the way that it actually works is you take advantage of...
What is the equilibrium for all the bounty hunters? Because I'm interested.
Well,
somebody call Brokus and ask it.
Right. I mean, I think if we treat it as like a typical prisoner's dilemma, it's for a small collection of people who can spread themselves out throughout the United States to coordinate, share information, and then chop up the prize pool. But the reality is that the prisoner's dilemma works the way that it does because trust can't be implicit. And so the true equilibrium is probably every man for himself, taking advantage of anybody who's silly enough to trust along the way.
True.
I actually wrote another piece about it where I presumed that there would be syndicates that would come up with some agreed upon share of the booty, right?
Yeah.
And then say, okay, we're all going to go out there, and because we've already essentially pre-divided the booty, there's no harm in me cooperating as long as I cooperate within this structure. Right?
I think if you can do that legally, then it has a chance. But outside of that, it's really tough because, like, if I just, I'm not going to travel to Cleveland, and if I think he's there, and I can send a text to somebody and say, like, hey, I think it's Trooper. Look for him at Jack's Casino in Cleveland or whatever. And they go, and it's actually Trooper, and he's at Jack's, and they, give him the phrase, and they win the package. I'm just left out high and dry.
Yeah,
like they don't have to give me anything, No. So I think that that's a big advantage that the runner has. I also think that, like, though I do agree they've given too many, or maybe not too many, but they've given some hints that I think were unnecessary. Like, we saw a full body shot of them, assuming that was actually them. Which I guess we can't assume anything at this point. Like, everything should probably be assumed that it's false information before, if not confirmed.
Yeah.
What I think they're doing a great job of, which would maybe indicate that wasn't actually the person we saw, is misleading people very subtly. I fell for it. I picked up on, like, a bunch of subtle cues around coffee, and I was like, this is the fucking Trooper. And then, like, we kind of confirmed, we kind of confirmed that it wasn't. And it's like, oh, I see. And it didn't even dawn on me how he was doing it. But then the next, the subsequent videos, it made sense. He kicked one off with "What's Poppin'," and I was like, oh, that's an homage to Conrad. But then as I kept watching, he's trying to throw out subtle clues to make you imply that he might be Conrad, or he might be Marley, or he might be Spratt, right? Like throwing out the "watch my husband's live stream for more context." It's like he's implying now that he's Marley, but I saw Marley yesterday. I know it's not Marley. Like she's not traveling, so it's these subtle like distractions where if you're not paying close attention, you can fall down the wrong rabbit hole. And if I've learned anything doing like any level of investigation around these scandals that tend to happen in our community, it's very easy to be distracted down a rabbit hole that leads to a complete and utter dead end.
Right. And then I guess in the same sense of saying something along the lines of things that in the sense of knowing it's not Marley because Marley was in Vegas.
Yeah.
It's like you saying that is in theory negative EV because some people might think, oh, it's Marley. Let's go find Marley.
Right.
Maybe Berkey's on the take and he's just misleading again.
If I were really trying to find the seat, I would have kept that to myself. But, I'm not. So, like,
go nuts.
Here's a freebie.
We're just trying to ratio some people on Twitter.
Yeah, here's a freebie. It's not Marley.
There's a good chance that I, like, if come like December 15th, December 16th, after the Wynn stuff is over, that I just, like, crowdsource travel and figure this out. Give everybody their piece and fucking make the best content poker's ever seen.
Lee, what do you think of this? What do you think of us sending Conrad on the road, but we limit his transportation to 10 options that he can only use once?
I saw that idea, like he was going to end up on a Lime scooter or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I really thought that you guys, and this was like 4 or 5 days ago, 3 or 4 days ago, that you guys actually, suggested this. I thought you were going to do it. And
it's not out of the realm. But with the Wynn stuff coming up, we can't do anything.
Yeah,
but once that's over, if the runner's not caught, like all bets are off.
Listen, if it was...
so the promotion ends on the 16th.
Oh.
Oh,
this guy's gonna win.
Oh, he definitely wins here.
Well, and so
I like
why
his side.
you assume it's a guy?
I'm just basing off the last
Yeah.
image.
And also that 95% of the poker community.
That's also a pretty sharp
I
take.
think just from sheer numbers, you're probably safe. But I by the way, I don't know who the runner is.
Oh,
okay.
Like,
what are you doing on this call? Get him out of here.
It's like you're playing Guess Who.
No,
right?
and you know what? Brad, to his absolute credit, has been super professional and tight about this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how many do you even know? How many people actually know who the runner is within the
I
organization?
don't know how many people know who the runner is. I think it is like between 1 and 3.
I was gonna say,
So it's very, very tight.
Yeah, I would very much take the under on 3.
Yeah.
It is
Not including the
This
runner
runner
themselves.
is so lucky this ends on the 16th. Because I was drawing out the plan. I was ready. I know where he is tonight, I think. I think there's a good chance I know.
I mean, listen, Conrad, $30,000 is real money, dude. Like, if you think you know where he is, like,
I will say this. I have an internal inclination, and I understand that when I say things on the mic, it may actually change their plans. So this is probably a net negative to everybody involved.
There is a Heisenberg effect here. If you say it, you can, right?
But I think that there is an element of hiding in plain sight, depending on like how famous or not famous this person is. I think like the more recognizable they are as a character in the industry, the more I would be spending time through California and Vegas, because no one's going to think twice about it. Like,
it's too easy for some random to walk up to you and say, so how do you feel about rabbit hunting, right?
But that would be true anywhere, right? Like, it's way worse if Brad Owen shows up in middle of nowhere, Iowa, to sit down at a 2-5 table, right? Like, everybody at that table should just be like, hey, bro, how do you feel about rabbit hunting?
Right.
You know what I mean? But, like, if they're in Vegas, it's like, well, he just plays and he vlogs. Yeah. I think, like, the whole hiding in plain sight thing is...
somebody should call Brad And you know what? I should text him and see, but I wonder if any random has walked up to him and asked him about rabbit hunting.
Oh, I would think, yeah, I was like, because it's a complete free roll, right? To just walk up to just rant to people and just say that.
Apparently, somebody asked our friend Corey. They DM'd him and said, "Yeah." They DM'd him and said, "Are you the rabbit?"
It doesn't work that way. You got to do it in person.
There was somebody who thought it was Melissa
you have to do it in person with a video running.
Yeah.
They just want an in DM.
I have a lunch with Brad Owen on Thursday, so.
All right. Well, you can go.
Andre, by the way, I didn't say hi to Andre. Andre,
Hi, Lee Jones.
more Run It Up, man. Like, I miss you and I miss Run It Up. Okay.
I appreciate it, brother. So, my history with Lee Jones, I've known him for almost a decade now. Lee has always been, I want to say, at the forefront of grassroots events since I've known him. He was a big proponent of Run It Up before Run It Up was really a thing. When we were originally at Ultimate Poker, Lee was one of the big proponents for getting him and moving Jason over to Stars. And through that, he's been to multiple Run It Up Renos. He's been there at the beginning of I want to say the avant-garde streaming setups for everywhere. Multiple events. We did one in Sacramento as well. Lee Jones, you're still around working at grassroots startups inside of poker.
It's listen, nobody loves poker more than I do, and Jason Somerville is famous for saying that. And it's I'm just so fortunate to be part of this business and the community, and it's just so much fun. But on the this whole runner thing, one of the things that's really surprised me is how well it's worked out in terms of being a balanced match, right? Mm-hmm. It would have really sucked if he had gotten caught the first 14 hours.
Yeah. I think it's fascinating that he's leaving clues behind in places that he plays, and we haven't heard from any of these people.
Well, why would they say
Which is
anything?
sharp. It's sharp. It's sharp for sure. But also, they've kind of missed their mark, right? So, who are they linking up with in a predictive manner where they're trying to tail this guy, right? Because he's not coming back.
Did you see the recent update on the real-time? You guys should drop a link to the real-time tracking in your YouTube. But basically, they actually said in the real-time tracking that there are at least 4 people who have a very good description of who the runner is.
Yeah, I saw
because
that.
The runner is leaving behind, and I wasn't going to say anything about this until it showed up on the real-time tracking this morning. Mm-hmm. But the runner is leaving behind cards that have a QR code.
Right.
And the QR code, basically, if you link to that QR code, it basically says, "Oh, damn, you just missed me."
Yeah, I saw something. I don't know if it was on the blog or if it was on poker.org's Twitter, or maybe it was. No, I think that was it. It might have been in one of the videos, but basically he was saying that he was leaving clues behind, and that they left a phone number to call. But I don't know what the phone number leads to. I imagine it's just a message of gotcha or something like that.
The phone number, I'm pretty sure, calls into poker.org.
Oh, okay.
And they may talk to you. They may, you may leave a message with a number. They call you back. I don't know the details.
It's like Santa Tracker.
Yeah, but I haven't seen the QR code. I haven't seen the card.
Right.
But the point is that the runner is leaving breadcrumbs.
Yeah, I really do. I really appreciate the content that they're doing because of the subtleties. That's what I'm taking away from it the most, even though they're all false clues. The very first video they put out, they were saying something along the lines of I mentioned that they said they got a bad beat, and that made me think it was more of a recreational player than a professional. And in that moment, he said something about the woman in seat 1. She can enjoy my chips at table 1. And I thought that at the time, I thought that he was giving something huge away. He was playing this table 1 in this. Now that I think about it more, I think it was a subtle reference to table 1 at Aria.
Yeah.
Which is just another false clue, because it's very clear they weren't in Vegas.
Right.
Are there guidelines as to what he can post as in sense of false clue, real clue, or he can do whatever he wants?
I don't know the details. I'm sure, like Brad and I sort of discussed that obliquely before the thing started, but whatever detailed conversations Brad has had with the runner, I don't know. And again, I think that's something that the fewer people that know it, you know, the better the whole thing works out.
Right.
But I guess what I'm really taking away from this, once again, going back to what Matt was saying, is that it really does reflect and amplify and celebrate the best things about poker. And it just happened to have worked out to be a really it's an interesting match, right? It's not lopsided. And at first I thought the runner was just like home free. I thought if they played a relatively GTO strategy, that they would be scot-free with the platinum pass forever. And then that first video came out of that person pumping gas. And like 4 hours later, Twitter had the exact gas station.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
And I was like, what the hell?
The rules that were posted made me think the opposite. It made me think that this person would get caught very quickly because they have to, if I recall, they have to do a video from or demonstrating that they played an hour of poker, I think, every other day. And then they also have to do a video of their location in front of some sort of business entity. Yeah. Right. And with the internet being what it is, with Google reverse image search and everything else, like, you're going to get pinned very, very quickly. Now, the only thing that I don't know is how much they're scrutinizing the real-time effect of these videos, right? Because he could or she could just delay everything one day.
Give yourself a 24-hour head start.
Yeah, so post the location 24 hours later, post the play 24 hours, and just be staggered on this one-day delay, in which case that's going to be near impossible. It's like, it doesn't matter if I knew you were in Jacksonville yesterday.
Yeah. It could be
especially if they could be.
Matt, there's 4 people in the United States per Brad. There's at least 4 people, which probably means people that picked up the QR code and followed it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's 4 people that know who this person looks like, right? In the United States, with Google, that's a pretty powerful thing, especially if they decided to work together.
Yeah, that part's very true. That is true.
So,
I feel like we start to flirt with the
hunters are going to have to be sharp.
Yeah,
but it can be done.
I feel like we start to flirt with ethics a little bit whenever they turn into true bounty hunters. They start doing like reverse lookups and like trying to get this person's phone number and, you know, geocache and all this other stuff.
And if you look at the T&Cs, because I read them pretty carefully to quickly discover that I wasn't allowed to figure out who it was. One of the things they said was basically, if you break any laws,
right,
you're disqualified.
Yeah. Duh. But you could probably go right to the edge of breaking laws.
Knowing PokerStars, knowing Poker.org and the people involved, I wouldn't want to be tacking close to that wind.
Yeah. I understand.
And you just don't do it because you don't do it. Right?
Yeah, of course. I get it. Just, hiring a PI is the thing.
Yeah, but I mean,
for $30K, it seems like whatever his hourly is worth it.
That's the part that really surprises me, because I really thought that, and I think part of the problem, and I wrote about this in one of the pieces, is that because in the poker industry we become so inured to the numbers, right? Like, you're going down to the bike to play 200, 400 with a 200K buy-in, and we just say that, right? Oh yeah, One of the things I was thinking about is, like, do you ever hear about people that are arrested for murder for hire?
Yeah, and it's like
the amount of money they got paid.
Right, it's like $3K.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. It's like we in the poker business completely lose all sense of the value of a dollar.
For sure.
So we hear 30K. Well, that's how much Ethan won at Hustler Live last week.
I think we also break it down to EV too, right? So it's like, we know that it's not 30,000, it's 30,000 divided by the
times
percentage.
Some probability.
Yeah, exactly.
But the fact of the matter is that if, like, for instance, you're one of the people with the QR code, if you have most certainly seen this person, man, your EV in that situation skyrockets.
Yo, if you guys are out there and you got the QR code and you've seen this person, you can we'll create the wanted poster here. Work with OnlyFriends.
We're
on the hunt, baby.
What are you doing?
Wait till I'm off the air before you start doing this shit.
No, we're not going to divulge it on air. We're going to get Conrad in a fucking boat and send him to Hawaii or wherever this guy is hanging out at.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
What do you mean? What am I doing?
If you know or have seen or played with this man and need funding to try to find them or woman, talk to me.
That's what I just said.
But not on the podcast publicly. We do it in secret.
Yes, of course, Landon.
You say that, but then you're going to say, I know. You're going to say something on
Why
air.
do you think I'm so stupid?
I don't think you're stupid. I think that you like to give value to people.
No.
Out of the kindness of your heart.
This is sheerly me crowdsourcing a way to get Conrad pointed in the right direction, because what I don't want is a Roadrunner map where the runner is going one way and we're sending Conrad the other.
So you're trying to hire an informant for Conrad to go find them.
He's a part of the team, this new person who's seen the QR code and knows what this guy looks like.
You're part of you're OnlyFriends adjacent.
What you failed to realize, it was all for content because we already know what he looks like. That's what you failed to realize.
It is all worth content.
What you should have known is
Conrad's in the streets. He's got all.
You know what this reminds me of? Have you seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yep.
Pepe Sylvia does not exist.
Yes.
That's what this is right now.
This is a good reference.
I mean, I think it's a really cool thing, and I'm a little surprised it's gone as far as it has after the first 2 days. I really thought after the first 2 days and they identified the instant gas station and the right Starbucks, I thought,
I'm kind of shocked that like somebody from that collective pool that was playing with the person that day isn't just like hot on the trail.
I literally know somebody that lives close to that gas station, realized it was that gas station, did some other investigative work, then drove up and down Florida, stopping at all the poker rooms trying to get this person, but they were already gone.
See, that to me, that is sharp, right?
Right.
That has got to be plus EV. Mm-hmm. And if enough people do that, then one of those people is going to hit pay dirt.
But how can you identify that person? And they only have to play 1 hour, so.
Well, you go to the gas station.
Yeah.
And, you slip the guy a hundy. And you say, let me see those security tapes.
Yeah. That's what I actually thought. Like,
see, I mean, this is pure NCIS stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you said it exactly right, Matt, that you slip 100 to the guy to see the security tape and you're off to the races.
Yeah, look for the person with a glove.
I don't know how it actually happens, but these are the kinds of techniques that, to my mind, are how the person's going to be brought down.
But for instance, let's say you were the runner, Lee. How would I be able to track you down if I know you're about to move the next day, right? Like, I think even that is very difficult.
Okay, so are you stipulating that you know that the runner is me?
Yeah.
Right. So I think if you know the person,
you simply crowdsource this guy.
Yeah.
Right. You pass.
You run a big risk there.
Yeah. I right now. That's the problem. I wouldn't crowdsource it because I have, information that is probably at least $10,000 to $15,000.
Here's the big difference. So we had a high degree of confidence that we knew where he was a few days ago when we believe he was in Chicago. But without knowing who the person is, it's irrelevant. If we, on the other hand, know who the person is, we can approximate region off of clues. And, like say it's this team within the room, we all would trust each other. So we could disperse into 5 different locations. Right. And then if we miss, wait for the next clue. But knowing who the actual physical person is worth 1,000 times more.
Could you imagine like a map of 5 of us, let's say we're in Detroit, it's spread out in all the casinos. Now you have a tracker on all 5 of us moving to bigger, fucking.
Yeah, you just create this search radius.
There's at least 4 people in the United States that have a pretty good idea of what the runner looks like.
Wow.
They should get on the OpenAI and get like a sketch.
The way you phrase, I know you don't know who it is, but the way you phrase that makes it sound like it's not someone that famous. It's not someone.
I have no.
I know.
I
you
want to be
don't.
very clear. I have zero idea if this person could.
Right.
It could. I mean, it could be Phil Hellmuth. It could be some completely random.
Yeah, that's what I wondered, because like obviously if it's somebody famous, it's like Berkey said, like it would, it would be if someone's in just a random casino in the middle of nowhere, then it's just gonna look way out of place.
Yeah, like if Stars hit me up or Poker.org hit me up and said like we want you to be the runner, I would just immediately shrug and just say I'm drawing dead. Or actually, I guess my strategy, assuming that I didn't have to, I don't know what the actual protocols are or anything like that. But if I were to do it, I would just ping pong back and forth out of places that I'm frequenting often. So I would just like be in LA and be at 5 different casinos in LA, and then come back to Vegas and be at 5 different casinos in Vegas, and then go back to LA. You know what I mean? That would be the only way that somebody like me could ever blend in. You have to hide in plain sight.
The protocols are online.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
I mean, all like if you want to do the research and such,
Yeah.
in order to catch and see what is and is not allowed, all of that stuff is drawn and written out.
Yeah, the TOCs are out
Explicitly.
there for sure.
Cool.
But yeah.
So it's absolutely available, and I think there is the information and there is the technology and the smarts within the community to catch the person, but it's going to require cooperation. And as you point out, the equilibrium of that cooperation is kind of unknown.
From Poker.org's standpoint, do you think that they are rooting one way or the other to be caught or not?
The longer it goes, the more fun we have, because I mean, I have to tell you, as I said, I've been in the poker business for 20 years, Matt, and I joined PokerStars in 2003. This is by far the most fun promotion I've ever seen. It's the sharpest promotion I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree.
So I just wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
Right? Like if the person gets caught on the 15th or 16th, I mean, that's fine.
Sure. And if they get away with it, also fine.
Yeah.
Also, if they get away with it, then that's also fine. I want the best team to win.
Yeah.
Like if this person really crushes the hiding part, then they deserve to win.
Yeah.
And if one person or some consortium does something super clever to find and nab the person, then they deserve to win. And
I think this iterates really well. So like this is the very first iteration, and we're seeing it in a very rogue type of content creation. Because like I'm thinking about this, and it's like we've come up with some really creative ideas on like how to do giveaways or promotions and even just like other stuff, and we never follow through because the anxiety around executing on it is so high, right? So the amount of content that Poker.org has to crank out right now in order to keep this in like at the forefront of everybody's mind, to keep everybody engaged, right? Because it's very easy to look at this and just say like, it's hard. I don't want to do it. It's just hard. Right. But if you make it seem feasible and they do create these breadcrumbs and everything else, like now everybody's a lot more engaged. The 10th iteration of this is going to be a reality show, right? Like it really does build out to that. It builds out to the American Race. It builds out to Survivor and like all of these other really popular game shows that already exist.
Yeah. This is why I think it's good.
The people that are at Poker.org, I mean, like, I don't know if you know the people that are involved in poker. We have Sarah Herring.
Yep.
We have Gary Gates. We have Brad Willis. We have Will Thomas. Eric Holreiser is running the shop. These people all have decades of experience in the poker business. They're super creative, and they are not afraid to go out on a limb like we did with this thing.
Yeah.
And it's working out like maybe better than we expected, but it's super, super fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this continue. I can't imagine this will be the last time it's ever run. I can't imagine that it will only be Poker.org who does these types. But like, I'm very confident that as this process iterates more and more, the creativity that blossoms off of it is going to be more than I think we could even conceptualize. Like, if there is just a poker based reality game show off of this, I wouldn't be shocked. If there were a non-poker, like if CBS is watching this and it turns into a non-poker related game show, also wouldn't be shocked. Right. And it would be one of those things similar to Big Brother where like any poker player who signed up for it would instantly become a major favorite to win.
I am so set.
But here's what I want to say about that, because like you guys are talking about reality TV and, you know, us we, the people, being responsible for the media that we get because we asked for it, right?
Yeah.
All of that stuff, all the Big Brother stuff, all the reality TV, and this is, by the way, this is Lee's opinion, not Poker.org's opinion. But, and I'm a nit and I'm an old fart, but Big Brother and all that stuff is very artificial, right? It's like who gets voted off the island, or, this is total sharpness. Either you're the sharpest team or you're not. Either the runner is sharper than the competitors or the competitors are sharper. And to me, that's why it celebrates poker so beautifully, because it all comes down to who's the more clever operator.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true.
There's not like a production team controlling everything that's going on.
Right.
It's mono y mono.
Exactly.
I am so sad. I thought I was going to have Christmas dinner with the runner. I thought it was going to be December 25th, and I knew where he was. I'd be knocking on his front door, have Christmas dinner with his family.
So how do you feel about, rabbit hunting?
Do you have any rabbit for dinner?
What if you know the runner, you know the location, it's the final day. You're ready to ambush him, and you realize that he's just like a huge favorite in the 30K PCA.
Right, he's just
Or
like a
PSPC.
crusher.
Yeah, it's just like it's Adamo.
Yeah.
Do you just approach him?
Sharp.
Do you just
Very
approach him and
sharp.
go like, "Look, I'm not gonna turn this camera on just yet, but I know how you feel about rabbit hunting, and I'd like to chop this with you."
Yes.
Well, honestly, if they were that good, they would just give you the seat because they'd want all themselves, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Or
But
there's
it's still funny.
There's spots where, let's say instead of it's a 25K pool, it's a 100K pool.
Yeah.
And they have to choose what their curses are in the beginning to go up to 100K. So let's say like the first 25K is you have to make a video, and then like you have to leave a card is another 5K that you can earn.
Right.
And
Basically, like every the more dicey the clues they leave,
Exactly.
the more they stand to earn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can
Risk-reward.
approach them afterwards and be like, "What's your total?"
Yeah, and yeah, the way it should work would be we're iterating here on air, but like the way it should work is the dicier the clues, the more reward to the runner.
That's right.
And it's sucking from the pool from the bounty hunters.
Yes.
Right. So say it starts with 100K for them
Yes.
on day one, and it's like 10K for the runner. And then as each day advances, it goes in the runner's favor, and he can like advance it faster by leaving dicier clues.
It's like The Amazing Race meets Witch Hunt meets like we can make this a TV show and it'd be pretty good.
I
Yeah,
wonder
this
if
is fun for me.
I wonder if the bounty hunters should know that, because if I know that you're worth 100K, and to me I'm worth that 1K, like how do I then propose you after, like if I know the runner and the location?
Right, the negotiations.
The negotiation's super interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like
But yeah, I just think, to me, what's really beautiful about this again is that it's about being sharp, right?
Yeah.
Like all the cheesy stuff seen in the poker business, and like what you guys talked about for the first 20 minutes about Nipplegate and all this other stuff, right? This is about poker and poker skills. And I think we can agree that note that you could win this whole promotion and never have played a hand of poker in your life.
It's true. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
But the fact is that if you win the promotion, you'd probably be a pretty damn good poker player.
Yeah, I think
got really lucky.
I think your point is very, very valid in the sense that we talk about growing the game all the time, and there are a lot of pieces of low-hanging fruit, such as just finding an attractive girl who wears a fake booby bodysuit and like throws it out there, and like suddenly that brings in new eyeballs and it goes viral. But this is a more organic way of celebrating the things that we're actually good at without
Skill set.
actually having to demonstrate somebody playing a hand where they run a 3-barrel bluff that the general audience isn't going to understand.
Exactly.
And there's also variance too, right? Like even in this contest, you get lucky and are just playing cash in your local room. Then the guy says that he got coolered in this certain spot, and you're at the table and you're like, oh, that's who the runner is.
Right.
Now I have this massive EV gain just out of like serendipitous luck.
Yeah.
And that's also just part of poker as
Right,
well.
yeah, you're just one of 8 at a table that are going to know this.
This can shine really bad lights on poker though.
Go on.
So let's say 7 people say that, oh, I asked this guy about the runner, about the rabbit, and
You have to film
You
it.
have to
You have to film it. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You have to have it on film. That's why.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah, they got all their bases covered over.
Okay.
No, I mean I think that I think that Brad and his team really, had it buttoned down pretty well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Matt, to your point, it's like one of the things that I've been upset about for 20 years is that there's not enough women in poker, right? Because we make it so awful in many ways. And yet there's nothing about the runner thing that is going to turn women off.
Right.
Yeah. And so this is like, hey, come into this really cool game that we have, this most amazing game. And oh, by the way, you don't have to lean into your sexuality or be objectified to be part of the community.
Yeah, I love it. I love everything about it. I'm excited to see how it transpires moving forward. I hope we see a lot more of it. Again, I think that there are a lot of iterations that can come off of this that are sustainable.
Yeah, let's brainstorm, Lee. For the next one.
I think if the runner ends up not getting caught, he should stay or she should stay the runner for the next one.
No. For the content, you have to announce it.
Yeah, because they're gonna go play, so everybody's gonna know. Oh, this guy won the seat from being the runner.
Yep.
And it's super cool content on broadcast as well.
Yeah. Also, like even announcing who it is, it's not like they couldn't ever be the runner again.
Sure.
I hope they get caught. I really do hope they get caught. And I think yes.
I want it to be like the 11th hour.
No, because I do. I think that it's actually better for the program itself, because now everyone will be like, oh, it is possible to catch this person. So then the next year you do it, you might even have more engagement.
You know what? You're exactly right, Brian. The runner should get caught in the 11th hour.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
that's the ideal scenario.
That's the best. That's the best case scenario, I think, for the whole program.
That's the game-winning shot from the underdog.
That's right. Yeah. The worst is if.
And by the way, they should be caught. They should be caught in such a way that it required coordination among 2 or 3 people bringing really disparate clues together.
What would be lame is if just everybody in every poker room is asking the question to everybody, right?
Yeah. But I mean, that's also tedious, like to film you going up to everybody at your table and then like.
But that would be the lamest thing, and there are people in this community that would do that.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't even know that there's a whole lot of EV there. Think about how much foot traffic there is. So I think like the final day, what I'm rooting for is that they're in Vegas and they're at like a jam-packed Wynn poker room or jam-packed Bellagio poker room, because it would take knowing who the person is. Right at that point, like it wouldn't be happenstance. Whereas, like if they're at Rivers Casino in Pittsburgh, and there's 3 tables running, you could almost like just so happen to like look at a guy who's clearly not local to Pittsburgh and say, "Hey, man, what's your story?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm from this place and have been playing poker for this long." Yada yada yada. It's like, how do you feel about rabbit hunting, man? Just talk to me. Like, what's your deal? Whereas like if they're at the Bellagio, they're just going to blend into a sea of people, even if they are somebody who's recognizable, right? It's like it's just not that unheard of that people were here during the WPT win.
Right. But then every major tournament, then you should just blast everyone. I don't know.
You just can't. You're just trying to gamify something, or you're trying to hack the game.
Correct. Well, I'm looking to see like where it could go wrong.
Yeah, no, yeah, still manning it is very sharp.
The spirit of the game can be destroyed.
Yeah, I agree. All right, on that, we're gonna let you out of here. Have any final thoughts of what you have coming up? Anything in particular with poker.org that you want to talk about?
I love your guys' show.
Thank you.
I love your show. It is just really cool. You should have Jamin Burton on more.
He's the best.
He is the best. And I love vloggers. I'm so delighted to have, I think vlogging and meetup games are basically the best thing to happen to poker in forever.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And it's wonderful to see somebody that isn't a 30-year-old white guy, doing stuff. And Jamin is just...
To be fair, deep down inside, he believes that he's a 30-year-old white guy.
I mean, you got to go with your internal narrative anyway. Right?
Yeah, until you start talking about like dunking a basketball, then all of a sudden he turns into an 18-year-old 6'8" guy. He's like, well, it's been a minute, but I can drop step tomorrow if I need to. It's like, okay, Jamin.
But you also do need to get Somerville on there. Because
I desperately want to get Jason on here. He's so hard to get out of the house.
You need to get Nate Silver on.
Nate's great.
That would be great. Yeah.
Election time for sure.
well, he tends to be kind of tied up around
Yeah,
elections.
you know, the lead up.
But anyway, listen, I just want poker to thrive and grow and to be healthy until I'm past the age that I can still play and or am dead. And so you guys are, you're bringing great vibes to the business. And the other final thing I'd say is Isai Scheinberg for Poker Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think that's a sentiment that we can easily echo.
Yes.
And it's one that needs to be echoed just in the sense that, even talking with Landon, poker history is fading very, very, very quickly. Like we're the one industry where a decade later, a lot of what laid the groundwork suddenly becomes forgotten.
Right.
You don't really see that in sport. People still talk about the 80s Niners dynasty, the 70s Steelers. Like this stuff doesn't get forgotten. It's a legacy that's baked into the sport itself. Where in poker, it's like Landon has no idea who below above is.
Yeah, it's just pre-solver, post-solver to me. Couldn't care less either way. Like from that sort of vantage point.
Yeah, so it's like if you're not still here and you're not still relevant, suddenly you didn't have any impact whatsoever.
Not that you didn't have impact, it's just like how important are you?
So you didn't have
and that's why I'm trying to get the message out. Because in 5 years, I'll probably be gone or whatever, and nobody will be, ringing the Isai Scheinberg bell if I don't. So it's just that's something that I just want to see happen. But anyway, listen, when I'm down in Vegas, I'll come down and I'll eat some of Brian's brisket and hang out.
Yes, absolutely.
Listen, I get it. History is important. I understand.
But yes, history
let's get you
is
in
important.
studio.
Mm-hmm. Let me know.
All right.
I'll cook you up some great barbecue.
All right, thanks, Lee. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much. Y'all take care.
Have a good one.
Bye, Lee.
Bye.
That was a very wholesome conversation.
Very wholesome. Wholesome indeed. You don't know who below above is?
No.
Oh,
I don't
amazing.
know who below above.
What?
Kevin Saul?
Oh man,
I don't know.
He
who
was an
that is.
absolute legend.
Legend, man.
Well, poker just wasn't like that big of a deal comparatively speaking to sports. Like football, basketball, baseball.
Yeah, but it's what you do now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But what happened then, I can't change or isn't effectively relevant in the new strategy.
Let's see, that's the problem. You only see it through the lens of strategy. Like when I fell deeply in love with baseball, I wasn't alive during the 70s, but I learned everything there was to know about the 70s Pirates.
Yeah. And I think we also we loved like before the poker boom and all the stuff that led up to and like the Doyle Brunson and like him winning back-to-back World Series when it first came up in the history of it. I think we were into that more than like the new generation into the poker boom.
Well, Rounders scene was a huge influence.
Right.
It's also because then when it comes to these other sports and things like that, there are superstars within the team, but you also had the team affiliation. In poker, there's no team affiliation.
Yeah, it's not a one-to-one comparison.
No, but there's an industry affiliation. Like imagine 10 years from now, you're having a conversation with a 23-year-old and they have no idea what 2 months, 2 millions are or who Lucky Chewy is. You'll be offended.
I would be offended, but that's because I have a personal relationship with Chewy.
Sure, okay, but everybody else that was involved in that is equally as legendary in the space.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say like, wow, how do you not know this? I would just say,
really?
Yeah, I would just say this is what I'd say. I would send them a YouTube link and say, watch this.
I think it's difficult to just orally pass on these stories though, because there's no real way. There's nowhere to actually talk about it. There's no production to really shine a light on this. I wouldn't have known what the immaculate reception was unless you guys explained it to me.
But you're like really far removed from football.
I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah.
He's not far removed from poker, right? Like, and we're in a content-driven age. Like, if he doesn't know what the micros are, to me, that's sin. If he doesn't know what Rounders is, to me, that's a sin. And it's like, at some point, there is going to be a divide where the next era is not going to know these. Like, there's already people Landon's age that have never seen Rounders and will never watch Rounders, but are playing like 50Ks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's like that means that they are completely disengaged from the culture of the space that they are completely enveloped into, which is fine if all you care about is bottom line, but it's absolutely terrible if you're going to represent the space in any capacity, right? Like, these stories are critical to tell, and it's very important for us to be able to shine a light on those who laid the path prior to us, right? Like, it's nice that Helmuth, Negreanu, Ivy, and that collective are still relevant today because there's still exposure now to the up and coming generations. But if 10 years from now, people are scoffing at Ivy or like, you know, kind of shrugging, saying like, who gives a shit? Like, who is this guy? He's not important type of thing, right? Like, I still look at Chip Reese in a very adoring way.
Yes.
And there's no way he could compete in today's game, but it doesn't matter because he was just a legend of the era that he actually got to play in.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really important to carry forward. I think that in the digital age where things move so fast and like you have so much content thrown at you so quickly, I think that the younger generation doesn't care about the past in any capacity. And maybe that's okay. Maybe like it's always better to just be looking ahead and moving forward. But to me, it's very cold.
Some people will stay relevant and like pass the test of time, call it the Chip Reese, the Doyle, etc. Right? Because those are always still going to be passed down from the people within the community, like you to me. Like I know Doyle. People are going to know Doyle.
I don't know, man. I bet there are a lot of people who are your peers that don't have any fucking clue who Chip Reese is.
Yeah.
Really?
I would feel pretty confident in that.
I would feel a lot more a certain way, like negatively in those regards of like people in the game versus the production side of things.
Sure.
Like, I don't know much about production and things going on, but I know Chris Moneymaker, right?
Isai like revolutionized an entire industry
with
like,
the whole card camp. Is that him?
No. He was the founder of Stars, but like PokerStars is in what. You may not know Isai, but you'll always know PokerStars,
correct?
Right, and that separation is what we're kind of speaking to as being the problem.
And you think that's a problem, and it might not be?
I understand why that's the case. I think that Lee's point is valid in the sense that it doesn't need to be the case. It hasn't been long enough for that to be the case. Basically, like if there's 3 generations removed and they don't know who Isai is, okay, like understood.
But they'll always know what PokerStars is, and that's what he created.
Right, but like you
time,
know PokerStars as you know PokerStars as Amaya Gaming.
I know PokerStars as an online poker site. Yes, that's all I know them as.
Right. And if you had to equate it to anybody, it would be Amaya Gaming. But like that was post Isai actually founding them.
And
like,
I don't even know what that is.
Right, exactly. It's just a corporation, right? It becomes a nameless, faceless corporation.
And you're saying that people in poker are becoming nameless and faceless.
Correct.
And that could be an issue, but maybe not.
I mean, I think it's an issue anytime that you don't pay attention to history. Like, I think that you lose a lot of potential lessons, but also a lot of the groundwork that was laid in order to get to this point. Like, if you just walk into an industry and assume that the way it is in current state is the way that it's always been, you're very tone deaf to an entire community and a lot of the sweat equity that went into the opportunity that's being presented now. Right.
I don't have much of a appreciation for the backstory of what is and just sort of see it for what is here now.
Right. Which is fine if your sole goal is to just play and make money.
Right.
But almost nobody who has any interest in being around for a decade plus can operate off of that being the sole purpose. Right? At some point, you want to contribute to the community at large, whether it's through content or whether it's through having an educated opinion on things, being able to shift the way operators work. If you don't have the perspective of how they used to work and fail, then you can't really give much insight as to how they should operate moving forward.
There's very, very few, and they're mostly like Euro online guys like Red Baron, right, etc., of people that have just been around for decades and are just pure poker players.
I don't know that they've been around that long.
And not industry people.
Yeah, but I don't even know that that's that long. Like, I think the Linuses and the Red Barons, they're like 5-year shelf life. Well,
Linus has played for many, many years, but people know of Linus for a certain amount of years.
Yeah, but if it's 10, I'm shocked.
Well, we can figure it out. But I'm sure it's around there.
Okay.
Because he started playing when he was 18, or maybe a little bit younger, maybe 16, being in Europe.
Yeah.
But he was known, obviously, when he became the end boss. But Linus is now here doing podcasts and doing like content.
No, but he's also just like not doing much, period. Like,
he's just winning tournaments. He's just getting second in the Triton.
I mean, kind of, but like he's mostly transitioned out now to like solely playing Triton events and other select high rollers.
Right.
And that's the general process. That's why I'm saying like the shelf life itself is maybe like 5 years. Right, there's like 5 solid years of hardcore grinding,
and then there's an exit.
and then there's an exit. And prior to that, it's the learning phase, right? So like the actual career itself that you shine a spotlight on.
And that's why there's so few people in poker with quote unquote staying power of decade plus.
Correct. Because in order to stay, you can't just be about bottom line. Like there needs to be something else filling that time while you're in high stakes, because you don't get in volume at high stakes.
You have to have a reason to want to be here.
Right.
And you feel that through doing industry
right,
stuff.
Right. Because you have a higher ceiling elsewhere. Your time is better served elsewhere for sure. Yeah. You can contribute to society better elsewhere.
In some ways.
Like once you make high stakes, everything kind of gets clipped out from underneath you. You get a lot of time back, but you lose a lot of volume. As a byproduct, you lower your ceiling, so to speak, right? Because like the only thing that makes the ceiling capped is the inability to put in volume once you do achieve the highest levels, right? If you could just put in the same volume at the highest levels as you did at the micros, there's no cap to this game. You can make infinite.
It's unlimited. Yeah.
But that's not the case.
There's only so many 100Ks.
Yeah, there's only so many
100Ks.
There's only so many high rollers. There's only so many private games you can get into. There's the stakes that run online continue to get lower and lower.
You were never a volume guy, but your volume has gone down a lot since you've moved up in stakes.
It's 33% of what it formerly was.
Yeah.
Right, and that's as a guy who only put in mediocre volume to begin with.
Yeah,
right.
So
and also, when you do now become an industry person and leverage yourself as someone in the community, it kind of undercuts some of those potential spots you might get. Call it some private games here and there, because now you're good at poker and you're bad for the game.
Yeah, when people talk about being affable, like one of the most enjoyable aspects of playing with guys like JRB and Bobby Baldwin is just hearing them tell their tales of the last 30, 20 years gambling. Right.
They're the top 0.1% of people with staying power within poker that have seen it all.
Shulman's another one. Like it's fascinating to just hear him tell stories, and a lot of them have very little to do with games that are relatable to me. It's either pool hustles that he's been a part of, or it's like these mixed games with like endless characters where the poker is not even secondary. It's like it's such an afterthought.
It's kind of
compared to what's going on.
It's what makes Cuz.
Exactly. Cuz is another great example, right? It's like he's out there living a lifestyle.
He's been around
with poker being a vehicle within. Everything else is like, it's so much more about the characters and the interactions and how they are relegated. And when you think about it, like, we all think it's so fucking absurd when people come up to us and ask us for a selfie or, want to tell us that they're podcast viewers and all this other stuff. Like, very humbling, very appreciated, but also like so insane to me. It's like, I play a stupid card game for a living and you're like amplifying my status in your head so high. But I understand it more whenever you zoom out and you think about it from the character standpoint of like, well, that's a story for them, right? It's like they play home games with their buddies who dream about the day where they could potentially play a World Series event and maybe vie for a bracelet. And they got to brush elbows with somebody that they watch on the internet 5 days a week that's done a lot of these things that they would aspire to do. They that took that chance at that crossroads where they could keep it conservative or they could risk the biscuit.
It's very funny you say that, and not like the whole humble brag thing. But I had kind of one of my first interactions where when I was coming home from the Wynn after booking a tournament, Uber driver was like, "Oh, hey, like really big fan of the podcast. Like, holy shit, like I can have this conversation with you in the car." And I was like, wow, like I'm honored to like have that ability to be able to have this conversation and make it be meaningful and worthwhile. Right. And like you never really know what happens from that when it comes to the things thereafter. But being in that moment then was such a good feeling of like, wow. Not for me, but it was like, I'm happy to be able to be this if you would want that to be the case.
Yeah. I mean, there's, really there are obviously degrees of celebrity and, we're like Z-list.
Right.
But it still does garner some sort of reaction from people who are in the culture. It's like a cultic following of sorts. It's like, I think about the first time I met Phelps and I was fucking blown away, like starstruck. Like, this is the best athlete of my generation, and I'm sitting within feet of him playing a game that I'm good at. It's like this is so surreal. I want to tell everybody, I want to like take a picture, I want to tweet, I want to do all these things, and it's the mimetic nature of humans, right? It's like we want to mimic what we view as success, and even if that means just getting within arm's reach of it, and being able to demonstrate that, like, you know, we were able to touch it for a second, even if it wasn't our success, but, you know, it's just being embodied and surrounded by it. That's worth a lot.
Yeah, and also just kind of being ourselves, so to speak. You realize, like, look, when someone says something, it's like, I'm just a guy that shit posts, makes memes, and plays poker, and just wants to be like a good person. Like, there's no ego involved of I'm this, like, poker's so small and insignificant in the really big, wide world of things. But if, like, you come up to me and you're like, oh, hey, like, I don't want to bother you, like, please bother me. Like, thank you for giving me this ability to be able to, like, allow you to help in whatever way I can.
And thank you for being a buffer for me.
Listen,
matter of fact,
I really do enjoy this stuff because
Yeah.
I was never that kid. You know, I was bullied in school. I was never like this, that, whatever. And people are like, wow, like, it's nice to meet you. It's like, oh, I like having that feeling.
Yeah, that's good. All right, we're going to get out of here. I won't be here tomorrow. I'm going to try to call in Thursday. I believe I'm going to be able to do so, but I'm playing live at the bike tomorrow and Thursday. Big games, 200, 400, 200K min. Thursday is definitely dependent upon how tomorrow goes.
Take advantage of your low volume opportunities, Matthew.
Yeah, that's fact.
Please.
You know, I love that we're playing deep, and I love that the buy-in is high and all these other things. But what I don't think Eric understands is that it's hard to move liquidity around.
Yes.
And like looking at the table that we're playing at, there's like one person there from LA. It's Andy. Like, that's it. Everybody else is from out of town. It's like, why are we fucking doing this in LA? Why can't we do this in Vegas, where I just, like, you know, have security deposit boxes all around town and I can get chips pretty easily. And, like, you know, if I bust, I don't have to sit there and, like, slink my way out and go, well, guys, it's been a real pleasure, but I'm not going to be able to be here tomorrow. You know, like, I don't want that to happen.
No.
And
Just do well tomorrow.
What if I lose, like, you know, 75,000?
You might.
And I have, you know, 190 to buy in the next day. Is he going to kick me out?
I don't think so.
He should. Fuck this guy.
Let's hope he doesn't.
All right, I'm out of here. These guys are going to carry the show tomorrow. I believe Johnny Vibes might be joining us in studio. Landon has confirmed. So I won't be here tomorrow. I'm going to try to call in Thursday. This might stretch into Friday, so I'm not really sure what the plans for my week will be. But, you know, I got my number one holding it down.
That's right.
You know I'll be in the building, baby.
Yeah, he was very talkative today. So, you know, I don't know how much he'll have left in the tank tomorrow and Thursday, but I got faith in my boy.
Connie is right now researching exactly
he's booking flights, bro.
He is definitely on the trail.
That's all he's been doing.
He's been hot on the trail. You better watch out, runner.
On his computer, it's like NCIS the whole time. He's just hacking the mainframe.
You got to catch line bikes, not feelings, you know?
Jenno and I were at dinner last night, and we were fucking looking at ATM street camera view.
Jesus Christ. I did promise that if I run a 100K bluff tomorrow that I'll lay my sack out on the table. I'm not sure I can live up on that one, but I'm going to look into prosthetics today.
How you bird bathing?
Yeah, I'm going to create a little bird bath, you know. We bird bathing out here in this bitch.
Jesus Christ.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we'll be back 10 a.m. tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Later.
Peace.